Hello everyone, welcome to the Archipelago live stream. I'm Liam, part of the team Archipelago, makers of Lightroom presets and creative profiles. Today we're taking a look at Quest 35 Nexus. This is a cinematic, contemporary, film-inspired preset collection that's coming to the Quest subscription series. It's landing on the 1st of April. So if you are a Quest member, you can be excited for this set to come out. If you're not yet a Quest member, you can find out about our Quest subscription over at archipelagoquest.com. Essentially, we release a new preset collection every single month that's free for our Quest members to download. And this coming month's set will be this one, Quest 35 Nexus. So like I said, it's inspired by contemporary filmmaking. It has a really, really stunning look of kind of like a still from a movie. Really, really dramatic edits, really, really beautiful. You'll see that when we get into the actual editing portion of this. But thank you for tuning in. I can see we've got a few people in the chat here already. If you are tuning in live, welcome. Thank you for joining. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. That'll let you jump into the chat after a minute or so that you can say hello. Jump in there, let us know where you're tuning in from and say hello. And of course, we'll be doing a giveaway. We always like to do those on these live streams. So if you are tuning live, you're in with a chance of winning a pre-release copy of the set we'll be showcasing today, Nexus. All you need to do is just be in the chat. Keep interacting, sending your comments through as we go through the stream. We'll choose someone from that list of people at the end of the stream to get their hands on Quest 35 Nexus before anyone else, so that you can get editing with that immediately. Thank you for tuning in. I can see Anne's on, Anna's on, Saran's on. Thank you so much. Brian's on from Slovenia, welcome. All right, so let's switch over to the Lightroom screen just so you can see the images that I've got to edit with today. We've got 8 images, so a good variety of different images to showcase these presets to you. I've kind of picked images that I think are going to kind of showcase the cinematic qualities of this set, but a nice diverse range of images so you can kind of see what to expect from it. As Lauren said there, try to stump Liam with your editing questions. Yeah, feel free if you have any questions as we go through the stream, whether it's about editing, whether it's about Lightroom, whether it's about the presets, feel free to ask away. I'll try and answer those as we go through. So I'll keep an eye on the chat. But we've got Lauren on, we've got Lise on as well. So if I do miss anything, one of those two will pick it up, I'm sure. Mary said all of these passed the vibe check. Thank you, Mary. People picking out some images that they're looking forward to. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this first image. We'll walk through that set of presets for you first of all, and then we'll kind of edit the rest of those images through the stream. All right, so first thing I want to do is just set the exposure and set the white balance. So I'm going to bring the exposure up a decent amount. I'm going to bring the temperature up a good amount here, just looking at the skin tones just to find a nice balance. So I think somewhere around there is looking good to me. So this first image, just as a reminder, this one's by Francesco Rossi. You can see the photographer's name at the top left of each of the images as we go through, along with the EXIF data there, and of course their Instagram handle. So if you want to go and follow their work, you can do so. All right, so we have this set up now. We've got the exposure and the white balance where we want it. So let's just take a look at the presets. So you can see here, Quest 35 Nexus. We've got 4 of the core presets. So there's Nexus 1 in both a regular version and a cine version, and then Nexus 2 in also a regular and a cine version. So let's just take a look at Nexus 1 to begin with. So I'll give that I'm just going to hover over that so you can see the effect applied. And you might have been able to tell there is a mask included with these presets. So as you apply the base preset, it also applies a mask layer just to render the background and the subject slightly differently. So with this first preset here, we have Nexus 01. We've got this really nice, warm, cinematic feel to it. And this is the regular version of Nexus 1. If we then take a look at the second version, this one here is Nexus 1 Cine. And with the cine version of each of the 2 presets, you're going to get a wider dynamic range, and it kind of replicates that look of it being a still from a film. So the first preset has the same stylistic look, but you'll notice it's much more kind of in line with what you would expect for a regular photo preset. So we've got a little bit more contrast, a little bit more separation between the subject and the background, a little bit deeper shadows. And then with the cine version, you get that kind of softer look where it's just lifting those shadows, bringing down the highlights, giving that wide dynamic range look, and that really kind of soft muted feel that you get from cinematography. So really nice to have that option. You've got 2 different variants of each of those base presets. So moving on to Nexus 2, give that a second to load up. And you can see that this one is a nice cool toned preset. So we've got those nice blues running through the background there, and the midtones and the shadows. It still maintains a nice skin tone, but of course it's shifted to being a little bit more cool. And then we have the regular version, as you can see, and the cine version of that one as well. So again, softer, wider dynamic range, more like a cinema still. So let's go ahead and apply one of those base presets, and then I can talk through the creative profiles and the other effects that are included, because they're very, very clever. So I'm going to go for Nexus 1 on this, and I'm going to use the cine version just because I really want to drive home that look of a cinematic still. So that's Nexus 1 Cine, and you can see that the Nexus 1 preset has a creative profile called Nexus Day. That's set to 0 as default. And if I bring this up, you're going to see it adds a nice warm hue to the image. But I'm going to leave that at 0 for now, because down here you will have noticed we've got these 4 presets: daylight, dusk, midnight, and dawn. And these are really, really clever. So the idea with these is that you can either shift or enhance a certain time of day. So it could be that your image that you're editing is shot at that particular time of day and you just want to further enhance the color tones that you might find in that time of day. Or it could be that you want to get creative and you want to change the time of day and create a little bit of a different look to it. And that's where these come in. So they use that creative profile. So in this case, Nexus Day for the daylight and dusk presets. And then you'll see when we use the midnight and the dawn ones, it actually shifts the creative profile, but it also adds a masking layer to the image as well, which further shifts the tonality. So let's go ahead and hover over daylight first of all. So you can see we get that little bit of warmth that's pushed in that we saw when we applied Nexus Day, but it's also shifting the masking and giving us a little bit of a different look. So if I go ahead and apply this, we can now use the preset amount slider at the top left of Lightroom to decrease or increase that specific effect. So we can go for that extra push of daylight warmth, so we're getting that nice warm toning that you would see on a nice sunny day. I'm just going to undo that, bring it back to the core preset, because I want to actually hover through all 4 of those so you can see them as a comparison. So this is daylight again. This is dusk, so you can see how it's a little bit deeper in the shadows. You get that nice little bit of magenta running through there. So again, daylight and dusk. And then we have the 2 presets that utilize the night creative profile. So we have midnight, which looks absolutely stunning. So really, really deep and dark, kind of brings the highlights right down, gives a real shift into those cool tones, and really replicates that kind of almost like a moonlight feel to the image. And then we have dawn, which again, a little bit brighter, still on that cool side of the spectrum. It brings a little bit of magenta back into there, and the highlights are obviously brought up, midtones are brought up in there as well. So super, super clever, gives you a lot of diversity, a lot of range to play around with these. And like I said, you can either enhance the look that's already there, or you can actually shift and change that to suit your creative needs. So for this one, obviously we have sort of a daylight image, but I'm going to go for the midnight look and kind of really shift this to being something quite moody and different. So I've applied that. I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit more. And now I can actually use the preset amount slider to determine exactly how much of this effect I want coming in. And I'm going to leave it probably about 90. So somewhere around there. That's looking great to me. So you can see when I adjusted that, it also switched the profile to the Nexus night profile. And as I was increasing or decreasing the effect, it was bringing that up and down. And also you can see the color grade midnight was also applied there as well. So it's doing 2 different things at the same time, adjusting the creative profile and also turning on and adjusting the amount of this particular mask. So this is looking really, really nice. One last thing I'm going to do with this, just to really push home that cinematic look, I'm going to go for a nice cinematic crop. So I'm going to go for a 16:9 ratio, bring that down to somewhere around there. And that to me looks super, super nice. So here's before and here's after. So again, that was edited with Nexus 1, the cine version. So we get that really nice wide dynamic range, really soft look to the contrast. And then we've used the midnight effect to shift the time of day to midnight, get that nice cool tone in, really reduce the highlights, make some nice rich shadows there as well. And of course, give us that beautiful mixture of the two tones from Nexus 1 and Midnight. So here's your side-by-side. Nomi says, I can't pick 4 virtual copies later. Yeah, that happens quite a lot with me as well. These are so creative for storytelling. That's from Lenka. Thank you. Gorgeous. Love the cool tones. Ooh, Midnight. That's from Erin. 16 minutes late, but better late than never. That's Alicia. Thank you for joining so much. Una's on. I'm really excited for this set. Thank you, Una. Love the Midnight. 21:9 is also a good choice. Certainly is, Chris. I have a 21:9 lined up for another shot. All right, so again, before and after, that's with the first image here by Francesco Rossi. So let's roll on to the next image. This one here by Anna. It's got this beautiful deserty scene. I love this kind of setup. So there's a mirror here in the sand, and obviously the subject is behind the camera, which is very, very cool setup. We've got lovely dusky light in here. So I'm going to bring the exposure up just a bit. I'm going to bring the warmth up quite a lot here, just to really kind of give us that nice warm sandy look. I'm going to go somewhere around about there. I think the temperature's looking okay. Maybe just bring a tiny bit of magenta back into the image. All right, so for this one, I think we'll probably use Nexus 1 just because we want that warm tone in. But I'm going to go for the regular version of Nexus 1 for this. So that's looking good to me. And let's take a look at each of those effects again. So again, we have daylight, dusk, which is looking very, very good. Midnight, which is incredible, very magical, I would say. And then dawn. So I'm going to go for dusk on this one. I just want to inject some of that nice, rich, warm toning and bring the exposure up to about there. And then I'm going to set the amount of dusk. So I'm going to bring it down just a bit, probably about there, so 64. It's important to note that we also have a landscape version of this as well. So down at the bottom here, you're going to see landscape. And the idea with that is simply if you have an image that doesn't have a strong subject, so if that's a landscape photo, for instance, or it could just be an image that just doesn't really have a strong identifiable subject, obviously because this uses masking layers to kind of give a different effect to the subject versus the background, if you have an image like that, you might get a little bit of a wonky result, or it might look a bit strange. So by using the landscape version, what you'll see is it actually just turns off the subject mask. So it just kind of gives the same uniform effect across the whole image. For anything where you have a strong subject like this, it's worth keeping that on, but you have the landscape version there. So if you have a landscape image, or maybe it's like a still life or something where there isn't a really defined subject, you can just click on landscape there and it'll just remove the subject mask from the image just to kind of give a nice uniform effect across it. All right, so there's before and there's after. That image again is by Anna Catalin. Here's the side-by-side comparison. Obviously I brought the temperature up quite a bit, brought the exposure up. We use Nexus 1 and then dusk effect, which uses Nexus day and of course applies the color grade dusk in the masking panel there. This image is brilliant. That's from Destiny. Thank you, Destiny. So creative. Erin said, if you're in here, Anna, wow. Lots of love for your image here, Anna. Thank you. Pretty concept. Love it. Anne says midnight. Honestly, I would use midnight in everything. It looks super cool. I think it's such a magical transformation. I absolutely love the way it renders images. But I've got to showcase all of the effects because they're all very, very cool. I could easily just apply midnight and everything though. Truly a piece of art. Thank you, Destiny. All right, so again, before and after that one with Nexus 1. All right, so next image here. This one is from Marcella. So we've got this lovely scene here with the mountains in the background, got a tree in the foreground, and the couple down at the bottom here. I'm going to go into lens correction first of all. I'm just going to put a profile on for lens correction just because it's very, very dark in the corners. Bring the exposure up just a bit, somewhere around about here. Love the color we've got in the sky on this. All right, let's take a look at the presets and decide what we want to use. I'm probably going to go for Nexus 2 on this. Just kind of Deciding whether I want to go for the cine version. Yeah, I think the cine version of Nexus 2 looks really nice to me. Again, we have daylight, dusk, midnight, and dawn. And I'm tempted to go for dawn on this one. I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit more. I'm going to bring the effect down just a little bit. So dawn, I'm going to bring down to about 65. So this is before, this is after. So we're kind of really shifting the time of day. You can see here we've gone from having that kind of purplish hue in the sky to kind of bringing it across to those dawn colors. They tend to be a little bit cooler. Again, if I show you dusk, you get that really nice warm tone that you see at dusk time. But I really like this. In fact, I know I could go for dusk. Let's do dusk. Let's mix the two. So we're going for Nexus 2, which is a cool preset. We're adding in dusk, so we're going for that warm look. So yeah, let's go for dusk. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. All right, so for this, I'm definitely going to go for the super wide crop 21:9, because I think this is going to suit the image very, very well. And one other thing I probably would do with this one, just because I think your eye is drawn a little bit too much to the tree on the left-hand side. I don't want your eyes to be drawn to the couple down here. I'm just going to press the M key, which will bring up a gradient, a linear gradient. I'm just going to drag that across the image like that. And I'm just going to bring the exposure down a little bit. Just so that the left side of the frame has a little bit of a lower exposure. I'm going to go probably about there. And then just set the fade. I think something like that looks good. And then one last thing I might do is just bring a little bit more warmth back in, just to make sure we've got some nice reds in the rocks there. And that looks good to me. So this is before, and this is after. So that's edited with Nexus 2, Cine, and then we've used dusk effect. Just backed that off just a little bit. And then we've done that nice, really, really wide crop. Very, very cinematic. And then, of course, just done a little linear gradient there just to kind of draw the eye down to the right side of the frame. And there's just side by side. Amy said before and after, so satisfying. Incredible. That's from Jonathan. Yes to the cine version from Seren. Wonderful colors. Straight out of a movie. A couple of people choosing dawn versus dusk. It's quite a difficult choice. So yeah, we went for the dusk on this one. This is it with dawn. So yeah, both really beautiful. I think the way it brings out the blues in dawn, really, really pretty. And it does a really good job of just replicating what that would look like. It's super, super accurate. Just the way it's shifting the tonality, giving that nice cool tone. Rendering the shadows and the highlights differently as well. Again, this would be midnight look. Super, super cool. And then daylight. Very, very cool. Before and after again. Make it a little darker. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go for a little bit of a darker look. So just bring the exposure down a little bit. Okay, so this is where my indecision takes me an hour to edit one image because they all look so good. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta go, that's what I'm using, go, done. Otherwise you can just procrastinate for ages deciding which one to go for. All right, so next image here, this one from Joel. Really, really beautiful scene here. Quite a monochromatic image, but I think this will be a fun one to play around with the times of day. So I'm gonna bring the exposure up a decent amount. I'm gonna add a little bit more warmth in here. I'm just going to bring the tint down just a little bit. Let's take a look. So Nexus 1, and give that a second to render out. Yeah, that's looking good. Nexus 1 Cine, that looks nice. Nexus 2 and Nexus 2 Cine. I think Nexus 2 Cine for this one. Bring the exposure up just a bit more. And then let's take a look at these effects. We've got daylight, dusk, midnight, and dawn. I think dawn looks very cool on this. I like the cool tones. I'm just going to bring it down just a bit. So about 48. Bring the exposure up a little bit more. And then let's go for good old 16:9 on this one. And we could also mix in something else. So let's go for an effect from one of our other cinematic Quest preset collections. That was Quest 23 Odeon. And I'm just going to use the background texture plus. So this effect just applies to the background. It's a mask that applies to the background. And this one will bring out more texture in the background of your image. I'm going to use that just to kind of bring a little bit more of the detail into the mountains, a bit more contrast. I'll bring the overall exposure up a little bit here as well. So again, that one is Quest 23 Odeon. It's another cinematic set of presets that's available on the Quest archive. So if you are a Quest subscriber, or if you choose to join Quest and get your hands on Nexus when it comes out on the 1st of April, you can also go into the archive and purchase any previously released Quest sets. So if you like the look of this effect and you kind of want to mix and match, these work really well together because they both have that sort of cinematic look. You can go into the archive and you can purchase these sets. You can either buy them individually, or the first 12 sets that were released through Quest are part of a bundle called Volume 1, and it's a very, very discounted price for that one as well. But yeah, you can go into the archive and you can purchase these. So again, this is before and after. Show you the little side-by-side comparison there. So we've gone for a nice cool toned edit on this one. We've got the Nexus Night Creative Profile, and we've used Nexus Cine 2 for this one. So kind of really leaned into that, that cool tone. So I'll zoom in just to show you the details. We have obviously got some grain, as you can see. That really helps to give it that cinematic feel. If you do want to adjust that, super easy. In the effects panel here, you can just bring the amount down, change the size of the grain, the roughness, all that kind of stuff there. But if you don't want to have any grain, you can just bring it all the way to 0, or you can kind of just back it off a little bit if you want. So dead easy if you're not a fan of having grain, but I really like the way it looks. And obviously it helps to give that nice cinematic feel. Anne said the texture in the background is brilliant. Naomi says, love mix and matching. Yes, it's such a fun thing to do. What a pop. The shadows are stunning. That's from Erin. Love the grain. Great before and after. So this is where we're up to so far. The first 4 images. We'll give those a second just to render out. There we go. So let's take a quick look at those side by side. So quite a variety of different tonalities coming through here. Some where we kind of really leaned into the warm, where we've really leaned into the cool, and then some here where we've mixed the 2 tones using the base presets and those incredible time of day effects. All right, so next image we have this one here from Fabrizio. Really, really beautiful scene here. I love the way that the leading lines just kind of go straight down the center, and we've got the subject in this incredible dress. I'm going to bring the exposure up, and I'm going to bring the temperature up just a little bit. And then let's take a look. So we've got Nexus 1. There we go, looking very, very nice. We have the Cine version of that one as well. And then Nexus 2. And the Cine version of that one. I think I'm going to go for Nexus 1. I think I might go for the regular version of it, just the way it's rendering the subject in the background. I think looks really pleasing. Let's take a look at the time of day. Of course, as I mentioned before, you have got the day profile up here. So if you don't want to use one of these time of day effects, you can just play around with the creative profile. But of course, this is only affecting the profile part. When you use the time of day, it will affect the profile, but it's also going to apply the mask layer that gives that nice rendition of different colors that you would experience in different times of day. But yeah, you can just play with the actual creative profile. So this will be Nexus Day. And if I go ahead and apply Nexus 2 instead, you can see you have Nexus Night, and you can go ahead and play with that. So again, lots of flexibility. You can kind of just dial in that specific effect. But let's take a look at the time of day. So daylight, dusk, midnight, and dawn. I think dawn looks quite nice because of the way it's rendering the dress color, but midnight looks very, very cool. What do you think? Dusk is nice, but I don't think the warmth is aiding on this image. I think it's just kind of making all of the kind of colors blend together. And daylight is, I actually like daylight. That's really nice because it's just a nice injection of warmth, but we've still got a bit of separation between the dress and the rest of the scene. Dawn. Make a night bluish version, please. All right, so let's do dawn on this one. I'm going to bring the amount up a little bit. Bring the exposure up just a tiny bit there as well. We could go ahead and use one of the effects from Odeon again. We could use background texture minus. So this is sort of the opposite of the one that I just used before. This one essentially creates some separation by softening up the background of the image. So I'm just going to bring that up a little bit here. And let's take a look at cinematic haze as well. This will just kind of bloom the highlights in the scene, which can be quite a nice effect. I'll just go for a little bit of that. And I think I am happy with that. We could go for a tiny little bit of warmth, but I think that's really nice. So this is before and after. So it looks quite natural, but we're just kind of giving it a little bit of a softer, more cinematic feel. We could go for the cool version as well. So let's go for virtual copy. And we'll go for Nexus 2. And let's have a look. We've got daylight, dusk, midnight, and dawn. Let's go for a midnight. Let's go fully in. So Nexus 2 and midnight for this version. I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to play around with how much midnight I want to introduce. I'm going to go about 70. And again, we've still got those other effects. So cinematic haze and subject texture plus and minus are on. So again, before and after. Let's pull those two up side by side. So that one and that one. So there you go, two different versions. So one using Nexus 1 with the dawn profile. Sorry, not profile, the dawn effect. And then the other one using Nexus 2 with the midnight effect. Love it. I wish I had your memory to remember all the cool effects from all the sets. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of my job, but it's sometimes quite a difficult thing. We have so many sets out now, so many incredible effects throughout those sets. It can sometimes be tricky. I know Lise is a big fan of favoriting presets, so ones that she tends to use quite a lot. She'll favorite those in Lightroom just so she can find them all together. So that's a top tip from Lise there. Until today, I thought you did these lives via photo recipes. You have an idea of where you wanted it to end up. But now I just know you're amazing. Thanks, Erin. No, yeah, it's just a case of deciding on the image. Sometimes I will struggle to decide. Sometimes I'll know what I want to use. But yeah, it's just a case of playing around. And it's also an opportunity for you to interact. So if you think you would quite like to see a slightly different edit, I'm open to doing that as well. So yeah, it's just doing it on the fly. Destiny said midnight is my favorite on this one. All right, so let's go on to the next image. This one's image number 7. I know someone was excited to see this one. So this one from Denise. Really beautiful indoor image for this one. I'm not going to straighten it. I quite like the slightly wonky look to it because we've got the subject dance in there. It just feels like we're in the moment. Just going to bring the exposure up a little bit and then we'll take a look at these presets. So Nexus 1. Lovely soft warmth. And then obviously we have the cine version as well. I think I would use the regular version for this just to create that separation. Just because we have a little bit of backlight, the kind of lights coming through the window there. The subject's in a little bit of backlight. So I think Nexus 1 helps to just give a little bit more separation, as would Nexus 2. Again, love that. Really, really nice. I would actually probably struggle to decide on this. I know I wouldn't go for the cine version. I know it would be either Nexus 1 or Nexus 2 regular version. I actually can't decide. I like them both. They both have a different look. So you pick, let me know, and then we'll take a look at the time of day effects and see what we think to those. Such a cute moment. Yeah, it is. It's lovely, isn't it? Really nice. The light in this is exquisite. That's from Kate. Thank you, Kate. It is certainly a beautiful image. Anne said 2, Nexus 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Everyone's loving 2. All right, let's go for it. So Nexus 2, I'm going to bring up the exposure just a little bit more, just to make sure that we can see the subject's face there. So let's take a look at time of day. So we've got daylight, which is lovely. It's a really nice blend. It's kind of like not sort of as warm as Nexus 1, but it brings some of that warmth back in, which is really, really nice. Dusk. That's very nice. I could definitely go with dusk on this. I love the magenta toning that we're getting in there, the way it's rendering the wood, the way it's rendering the skin tones. Very pretty. Midnight, that looks super cool. I love the sort of dramatic blues that we're getting in the whites of the walls and the dress. And then dawn, which is also very nice. Very sort of crisp feeling, really clean. I would be tempted by dusk on this one. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit because I want to sort of blend the cool tones of Nexus 2 with the warmth of dusk. So I'm going to bring it down to there. So if I show you, this would be just Nexus 2, and this is with a little bit of dusk coming in. Really, really nice. I love the way it's rendering the skin tones. So if I go ahead and show you, that would be 2. Lovely and clean, nice and cool, but I think just with that little bit of dawn, it's just rendering that in a really pretty way. Again, also the wood at the bottom is super nice, so before and after. You can, of course, go ahead and play with the actual creative profile independent. So once you've set time of day and you've adjusted the amount of the preset amount, you can just then adjust the profile if you want. So you can just bring a little bit more of the day profile in, or you could go in and you could switch that to the night profile and kind of just play around and mix and match the effects together. But I think that looks really nice. I would maybe go a little bit higher and just go for sort of more of a glowy effect. So rather than that kind of cinematic toning where it's sort of very, very muted, I would maybe go a little bit different and kind of bring the exposure up so we get a nice glow coming through the windows behind there. And I would actually be tempted to just drop the clarity down maybe to like -10, just to kind of soften things up even more. So we just get that little bit of a hazy look to the light coming through. So that's Nexus 2, and then the dusk effect brought all the way down, so it's just in there a little subtle amount. This is before and this is after, and there's the side-by-side. Zephon says, I have to get more acquainted with cooler tones. Yeah, I tend to edit warm most of the time. It's just my preference a lot of the time. But I do surprise myself sometimes when I sort of edit an image and I'd see it in a cooler tone, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, that looks super nice. And it's not necessarily what I would usually go for, but sometimes I just find it really, really striking. And I've definitely found that with this set. So this set was developed by Chris, and when he was developing it and sending through early versions of it, that's one of the things I was very struck by was Nexus 2. I found myself wanting to use that more than I would have expected, just because of the way it renders the colors is just really, really pretty, very magical. And then of course having the midnight effect, I found myself using Nexus 1 with the midnight effect loads. I think that's a really, really nice combination. Nexus 1 is farther north light in the US, but Nexus 2 is the light here in Florida. I love that. Nice identification, Erin. Stunning. That's from Liz. Love the glowy look. Good job pronouncing my name correct. Nice one. Love it. Dress looks so flowy and ethereal. So again, before and after. Lovely, lovely image from Denise. Great, so on to the next image here. This one from Foggy Stories. We absolutely adore Foggy Stories work. Anytime we get some raws sent through, we're always in awe of them. Super, super nice. So we've got another cinematic image here, which is absolutely gorgeous straight out of camera. It's going to work super well with Nexus. I'm just going to bring the exposure up maybe about there. I'll apply the preset and then kind of tweak it from there. I want to keep the mood, so I don't want it to be too bright. So let's take a look at the actual preset. So Nexus 1. And that looks very, very pretty. Let's have a look at the cine version of that. I would probably be tempted by the cine version on this one, just because I think it doesn't necessarily need that separation. We've got quite a dark background already, and obviously the light coming in through the window, hitting the subject's face, and just kind of illuminating that just enough. Let's take a look at the cool ones. So Nexus 2. And that's looking very, very nice as well. It's nice, that one, because it contrasts the warmth in the light from the candles that we can see in the reflection of the mirror. And then we have, of course, the cine version of that as well, which just gives that extra bit of dynamic range. I would probably go for Nexus 1, although I do like the way that we've got that kind of contrast between the cool tones in the shadows and then the warmth coming from the candlelight of Nexus 2 Cine. I think the cohesive warm look is really, really nice. And then I'm probably going to go for midnight on this one. Let's take a quick look. So let's go for daylight, dusk, midnight, and dawn. And dawn's very, very nice, actually, just for kind of a little bit more of a neutral kind of edit, a little bit more natural looking maybe. I would maybe set it about there. But let's go ahead and create a virtual copy of that. And I'm going to do a version with midnight because I think this effect is just super magical. I'm going to bring the exposure up a good amount. And then just decide how much of the effect I want. Probably the default amount. So I set it just to 108, so a tiny little bit of an increase. Let's take a quick look at the actual creative profile. I would be tempted just to kind of back that off a little, bring that down to 122. So this is before and this is after. So the before will be the edited version, so the other image. So this one here, which is edited with Dawn. If I reset the image, that's the actual before. So there's before and there's after. And that's the version where we've edited it with Dawn. Again, before and after. Let's show you those two side by side. Yeah, for me, I think that combination of Nexus 1 with the cool midnight toning is just such a beautiful look. It's really, really nice. The way it kind of brings a little bit of sort of greenish hue in. It brings the blues in there. Obviously adds a lot of contrast, brings the highlights right down, gives some nice deep blacks. It's just a very, very magical look. And I think when you use it in combination with Nexus 1, that warmer look, it's just such a beautiful combination. Anne says Dawn. Amy's also Team Dawn. The image with this set equals brilliant. Thank you, Todd. Kate's excited about the edit with midnight. One cine is what Alicia picked, which is what we went with. This is just so beautiful. Dawn is like our favorite cookie, good at any given moment. Love that, Tanya. That's awesome. Love the Moody midnight version. So nice split. I think it seems like there's a good split between people that like the midnight version versus the dawn version, which is a great sign. It just means that this is going to cater really well to whatever your taste is. And I think that's what's very clever about this. You know, you have, just looking at the base presets, you have warm, you have cool, you have something that's a little bit more contrasty, something that's a little bit more of a wide dynamic range, a bit softer looking. And then when you mix in those time of day presets as well, you can kind of customize that even further. So very, very cool. All right, so we're on to the last image now. So image, which is now image number 10 over here. So we'll edit that one in just a moment. But before we do that, do let me know if you have any questions about the set. Again, this is Quest 35 Nexus. This will be coming out on the 1st of April, so not too long to wait now. And this will be landing on archipelagoquest.com. Archipelago Quest is our preset subscription. You can become a member of Quest today, and then you'll be able to immediately download the current set that's available to members this month. And then on the 1st of April, you'll get your hands on this set, which is Nexus. We release a new set every single month that's free for subscribers to download. So you can find out more at archipelagoquest.com. You'll find the link for that in the description and also in the live chat if you are tuned in live. Just as a reminder, if you are tuning in live and you've been chatting away in the chat box there as we've gone through this, you are, of course, in with a chance of winning a pre-release copy of this set, Quest 35 Nexus. We'll be announcing the winner of that very shortly, so stick around, keep your eyes on the chat and keep chatting away. I'm going to go ahead and edit this last image now. I'll be warm water and dirty dishes with Dawn. Love that. Oh no, only one image left. All right, so this one, another one from Foggy Stories, super beautiful image. I'm going to go into lens correction and turn that on, but I'm just going to bring some of the vignette back. So maybe about there. And I think the exposure, I'm just going to increase a little bit, add a tiny bit of warmth. That's looking good to me, and let's take a look. So Nexus 1. Give that a second. There we go. Very, very nice. And the cine version. And then we have Nexus 2. And the cine version of that one as well. All right, you can pick. Let me know which one you want to see edited on this one. So again, Nexus 1. Or Nexus 2, the cine or the regular version, let me know. Curious about the skin tone changes. The image is breathtaking, holy moly. Nexus 1, that's from Tanya. Liz says 1. Zephon says, I think 2. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's a tough one. 2, 2, 2. 2 regular, 2. I think 2 is winning on this one. So let's go for Nexus 2. Let's have a quick look at the regular version versus the cine version. Yeah, I think the regular version for this one, again, just the way it's rendering the subject versus the background, we get a little bit of extra kind of rendition on the subject. It just brings a little bit of that up. So again, you can see that's applied up here. So we've got the subject mask, the background mask, so you can see those working in there. You've also got the color grade, which is disabled. So that's just making sure that if you apply any of these color grades here, so daylight, dusk, midnight, or dawn, if you go back and apply the regular preset, it will just disable the color grade, just so that it's a really easy workflow. You don't need to worry about the fact that you've maybe applied midnight and then you want to change to a different edit. When you apply a different Nexus preset, it's going to set that back to being a disabled color grade. So super easy. But let's take a look at those now. So daylight. Dusk, midnight, and dawn. I think I already know which one I would go with, but I'm not going to say. I'm going to let you choose. So again, this is daylight, dusk, midnight, and dawn. Dusk is Anne's choice. Dusk is also Naomi's choice. Destiny said daylight. Lauren says dusk. Daylight, dusk, dusk, dusk. All right, I think, oh, dawn. Team dawn again. Someone's got a preference. Dusk. All right, dusk is definitely winning. Dusk is actually the one that I was going to go for as well. Again, I just like that kind of warm rendition that we're getting. Very romantic looking, I think, just with that extra injection of magenta. So I'm just going to bring the exposure up. I'm going to check how much of dusk I want to add. So this is it all the way down at 0. This is it all the way up at 200. We're going to go somewhere between the two. I would probably go just a little below the default, so 89. So this is before and this is after. Really, really pretty. We could go for a nice wide crop on this one. Let's have a look at the 21:9. That might be too wide, but let's have a quick look. I'm going to go about there. Yeah. Let's go there. I think that looks super nice. So again, before and after. There's a side-by-side comparison as well. Love it with dusk. Can we also mention how beautiful this woman is and how stunning her skin looks? Thank you, Destiny. Very, very pretty. That's from Tanya. Lovely styling and everything. Yeah, Foggy Stories work is just unreal. You should definitely check out their work. Again, their Instagram handle is up at the top here. So it's at foggy.stories. Their work is absolutely stunning. Just really, really beautiful portraiture. Styled impeccably. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. One of our favorites. Speechless, that's from Una. Ragnar's being cheeky. You're not going to win anything if you're cheeky like that. Everyone should follow Foggy Stories. That's from Tanya. Look at that. Seren's already followed. Love it. All right, so let's go and take a look at the all the images together. Let's give these a little side by side. We've got a couple of edits of a couple of those images there as well. Much cozier with the dusk added in. There we go. I think Foggy Stories is getting quite a few new followers, which is great. Speaking of followers, do make sure that you are following our Instagram at Archipelago Presets. We like to feature photographers on there. So if you tag us in your images and in your reels, all that kind of stuff, we'd love to share that. So definitely go and give us a follow there. Also make sure that you give this video a like while I've got your attention. Give it a little bit of a like just to say that you've enjoyed it. I can see some hearts in the chat there. Really appreciate that. But the like on the video is what counts. That just pushes it out to more people. So if you could do that as well, that'd be great. In a moment, we'll announce the winner of pre-release copy of Nexus. But just as a reminder, this is coming out on the 1st of April. It's not an April Fool's joke either. This is genuinely coming out on the 1st of April, as all of our Quest sets do. So if you're not yet subscribed to Quest, you want to go and do that. Head to archipelagoquest.com. Destiny said, Liam, you did an amazing job today, as always. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. There we go. Live chat winner is Alicia. You have won a pre-release copy of Nexus. Big congratulations to Alicia. If you just reach out to us on the email that you see in the chat there and let us know where to send the set, we'll get that sent over for you. Get your hands on Nexus before everyone else. Do make sure you share your edits in the Archipelago Collective Facebook group, just so people can see what's coming in a few days' time with Quest 35. But thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. It's been another great stream. Really enjoy doing these. Great to have you on board. We of course will be doing more of these throughout the coming weeks and following months. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like I said, give this video a like if you can as well. That'd be great. And then come and join me for another live stream soon. All right. Peace.